To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a soap opera star.
Gracious me, my car has storm damage and I've had to file a claim. Could it possibly get worse? Will my claims team leave me for someone else? Someone less intense?
No. Actually, when you file a claim with Geico, you get your own dedicated claims team who promises to stay with you throughout the process.
Oh, I've never known such loyalty. I can't wait for the second season.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
Are you ready?
To find solutions.
Ready.
For new opportunity.
Ready.
To take charge of the future. St. Joseph's College in Brooklyn offers a safe, flexible, and affordable education so you can be ready for what's next. And we make it easy to transfer, so you can stay on course to complete your degree. Attend an upcoming virtual transfer and adult enrollment day to see how. Register at sjcny.edu/BK transfer events.
Are you ready?
St. Joseph's College.
Ready?
Set.
Joe's.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for downloading Sporgy for free on iTunes or from ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate Sporgy 5 stars on iTunes and help to tell others about Sporgy by leaving a comment. Thank you for following Sporgy on Twitter at Sporgy Podcast and on Instagram at Sporgy_podcast. Please follow Sporgy on Facebook to like and share Sporgy. You can also email the show. The address is sporgy@ChristopherMedia.net. If you would like to donate to Sporgy, you can click on the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click and bookmark the Amazon link at ChristopherMedia.net. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will help to support Sporgy. If you are looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media uses HostGator to host all of the shows produced by the Christopher Media Network. When you click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net and sign up for HostGator, you're helping to support Sporgy. We know that choosing the perfect gift for a man is a difficult task, but not anymore. TheBroBasket.com is here to help. We all know men are hard to shop for, but what do guys actually like? Their favorite alcohol, that's what. It could be craft beer, wine, whiskey, scotch, or tequila. TheBroBasket.com will put it in a gift basket full of their favorite gear and goodies. You can customize your own Bro Basket or choose from a variety of different Bro Baskets, like the Ultimate Import Sampler, the Jack and Coke gift set, or the Junior Executive gift basket. Boozeless, but still cool, Bro Baskets are also available. TheBroBasket.com gives you many shipping options to choose from, including rush delivery and Saturdays. 21 and over, please. State and local laws apply. Beer, wine, and liquor are not available for shipping in all states. You can help to support Christopher Media by clicking through the BroBasket.com banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Men used to be hard to shop for. TheBroBasket.com.
Welcome to Sporgy, the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions. And now, here are your hosts.
Okay, welcome to Sporgy number 45. I am Chris.
I'm Rich. I'm the Iceman.
45. Isn't it John the Spider Sally?
Isn't it? Wait a minute. Is Frank Thomas 45?
I don't know. The only one I could think of was Michael Jordan right off the top of my head.
Yeah, his alternate number.
That's true. But come on, the man already had 23, but, you know, he's Michael Jordan. So, yeah, whatever.
He's the fucking GOAT, dude.
That's true. Well, don't tell that to LeBron or Kobe. But anyway, let's see. All right, so we're kind of in, I can't say a lull, because there's a lot of stuff going on. But our little pre-show chat, not a lot of huge sports stories this week. I mean, we could start with what? Maybe the NBA playoffs started. That's probably the biggest thing that's happened since last we got together. Yeah, I know Cleveland ended up blowing it. Boston ended up being the number one seed in the East. So I don't know. Maybe LeBron didn't get his help. What's going on? Have either of you guys been watching any of the playoffs? I mean, I know Rich. That's probably a hard no. Anything interesting so far? I mean, so far, the biggest headline of the playoffs is what? Isaiah Thomas' sister dying. That's about it. I mean, there hasn't been. They're what? Maybe a week old at this point. Not even.
yeah, that and Chicago won that game.
Really?
An 8 seed beating a 1 seed in game 1, yeah.
Oh. Interesting. I sound like I'm trying to pull teeth here. Anything exciting going on in this? Did we just lead with a big old thud?
I'm watching them. It's just nothing big's happened. Other than
Nothing
Chicago beat Boston.
All right. Well,
that's the biggest story. Led with that. Is Chicago beat Boston.
Come on, LeBron. Can't have a temper tantrum yet, or is he waiting? Is he waiting for a couple weeks in that the refs get on his bad side? But
what is
all right? So
what is the old? What is the old please?
Well, wait.
Go ahead, Earl. Go ahead, man.
No, he's winning. At the end of this season, this postseason, I think LeBron's going to be like, it's all part of a plan to lose number 1 seed so we can go against the easier teams and blah, blah, blah. Because he's blowing out Indy. The game's on right now as we're recording, and he's blowing them out second game as well. So he has really nothing to bitch about.
Yet.
Yeah, but isn't the old cliche in the NBA that it's not a series until someone loses a home game? I mean, if everybody has won that's supposed to win at home, then, I mean, I hate to say it, NBA, but if your product's that predictable, I don't really see why anyone would wonder why we're sitting here going, what is there to talk about? I mean, if you can almost guarantee a home team is going to win because simply they're the home team, what the fuck's the point in watching that? So, I don't know. I'm the wrong person. I just not a fan.
Gee, you could have fooled me, Rich. You could have fooled me.
There is, good games out there. It's just not that one. Obviously, Golden State killing Portland's not a good game. The Utah and the LA Clippers was a good game. Utah won that one, though. That's 5 seed beating a 4 seed. So, you know what we should talk about? The MVP.
You right over there?
No, the MVP of the league. Harden versus Westbrook was already happened first game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Harden smoked Westbrook like a Philly.
Yeah, but so Harden's up for the MVP now? I know he put Houston on his back this year, but I mean, really, is there anyone else but Westbrook who gets it?
Oh, there's plenty of talk about a lot of people getting it. LeBron obviously is up. Westbrook, Harden, Curry, that kid down in San Antonio. I can't even pronounce his name, but it's Leonard. Something.
I mean, you heard Westbrook's name all year. You didn't start hearing Harden's name the last month, so.
I feel you on that, but here's your argument against Westbrook. Yeah, he's averaged a triple-double. Woohoo. His team was, what, 4th? They finished 4th, I think? No, 6th. They finished 6th. So, good job, Westbrook, for averaging a triple-double, but your team suffered.
Well, aren't you the guy that always talks about it takes more than one guy to win a game? I mean, isn't MVP supposed to be the person who had the most impact, period? I mean, look at his numbers. No one else put up the numbers he did this year.
That's true, but also look at his team numbers. Okay, you have to have an impact that helps your team, boss. Harden had an impact that helped his team. LeBron James had an impact that helped his team. Curry helped his team. Leonard, Kawhi Leonard, or whatever the fuck his name is, helped his team. Westbrook just averaged a triple-double. His team didn't get any fallback from it at all.
Well, there's 5 positions on the floor. He can't play all 5 of them. He can only play one.
Well, that's the big debate in the news right now. That is the biggest story of the regular season going into the postseason. Was one, why the fuck are they waiting 2 months after the regular season to announce the MVP? That's stupid. And second, who's it going to be? Obviously, Westbrook's one in the tops of the list, but does personal achievement make you the MVP? Because if they announce it 2 months after that, the playoffs have already started and ran. Now you're saying that play in the playoffs, maybe swaying who votes for the MVP. So even though Westbrook averaged a triple-double during the regular season, and he might have gotten it. He just got his ass kicked by another guy who was up for it, and that's James Harden.
But don't they do that in baseball, though? Don't they not give away the Cy Young and MVP and all that till after the World Series?
Yep.
What's the big deal?
I would hope that whoever has a vote understands that MVP of the regular season has nothing to do with MVP in the postseason. And I would hope they would vote accordingly. I don't know. I do know that the argument between someone who has great personal achievement on a mediocre team, should they get the MVP nod over someone who actually put their team on their back and carried them? That's an old argument. I can see it both ways at times. If there's a guy who just played out of his mind on a shit team and he drug them just by his play alone into the playoffs, you can make a pretty solid argument for him to get the MVP. But then again, if you have a guy who's just literally the only player on his team who's just like, climb on my back and let's go, and he's just surrounded by support players. I tend to think of like some of those teams like late 90s, early 2000 76ers, where it was, who you had to stop. Who was going to cross you over and fucking break your ankles on the way to the fucking hole. There was no question about that. So, I don't know. To me, MVP of the league should mean the best player in the league for that season, period. Teams have individual MVPs. Let them, if a guy carried his team, put a team on his back, let him get an MVP from his team. He's the team MVP. Okay, cool, whatever, MVP isn't, hey, I got us into the playoffs or whatever. MVP is the most outstanding performance by a single player in that season. Case in point, back in the days of Barry. Barry ran for over 2,000 yards, and the Lions missed the playoffs. Would you consider him at least in the talking for an MVP candidate?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Some people wouldn't know. They go, he didn't make the playoffs. Well, this isn't a team award. This isn't, what he did with the team. This is outstanding single performance by a single player throughout the season. So, I don't know. To me, that's where I could see both sides of the argument. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the discussion ends. Is who had the most outstanding season in the league. Now you can argue, I guess, over a few different people, but ultimately, that's who I'm thinning from the herd to pull them aside and go, okay, now this is the group we're choosing from. But it's sports, and ultimately, how many times we talked about it? Guys like T.O., guys like Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, even if he didn't have the cloud of steroids hanging over his head, probably would have never been a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is based on his attitude towards reporters. And those are the people that are voting. So I'm more politics involved in something that should be fairly black and white. But there you go.
Yeah, I think you're hard-pressed to argue against Westbrook this season. Quite honestly, whether or not OKC's in the playoffs, he had a special season. I don't think. To me, it's pretty open and shut. It was kind of like the year when Steph Curry won. How do you give it to somebody else with the season they had? But I'm sure a lot of Houston fans will take issue with me.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of siding with Harden. This boils down to two people. This is either Harden or Westbrook. Like I said, James, Curry, Leonard, they're all in it, but they all got great fucking all-stars on their team. So you can't say that one of them is, the all-star, the MVP, excuse me, because they have great all-stars on their team with them. Harden and Westbrook really don't. They're pretty much it. And I can appreciate the season that Westbrook had. I can. But that being said, it didn't translate to wins for his team. They won 47 games, 47 games, I think, and Houston won 55, I think. Yeah, that's right.
So you're telling me 8 wins separate MVP from no MVP for you?
8 wins separates 6th and 3rd place in the division, yeah.
Yeah, but Westbrook will be in the record books after this season. Harden, not unless the Rockets go deep into the playoffs and actually get a title. Not so much. It'll just be like, hey, remember that season when?
However, and this is what pisses me off about not announcing it before the playoffs, Harden whipped Westbrook's ass the first game.
So? I'm sure on any given day, anybody up for MVP could whoop anybody's ass. Whoops. I mean, it ain't a one-on-one competition. It's about what you did over the 82 games.
Well, for me, that's one of the two. It's either Harden or Westbrook. I would choose Harden. They probably will choose Westbrook. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I know I can't even say his name. Kawhi Leonard. He's young. He's got great games, but he has a great supporting cast. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and I mean, there's so many other people on that team.
He's got an old supporting cast.
Yeah, but support nonetheless.
All right, well, on from the ho-hum NBA playoffs to playoffs where shit's actually happening, and apparently not happening the way any of us thought it was going to go. Let's talk about the NHL playoffs.
Well, I guess we could start out in the West with a matchup that's not going definitely the way I saw it. You got Nashville leading Chicago 2-0, and Chicago's yet to score. So that's quite a big problem for a team that is loaded with guys that they should not be having this problem.
Rich, let me ask you: is Rennie that good? Rene? Is that it? Rene?
I don't think so. I think this is one of those cases where you have a guy who's getting hot at the right time. I mean, I could be wrong.
The right fucking guy, dude. Your goaltender is that hot. Right guy.
Dude, Jaguar, 2003 Ducks. That's all I got to say. I mean, they wouldn't have made it to the finals. They wouldn't have made it to Game 7 if it wasn't for him. That's how come he won the Calder Trophy and his team lost the cup that year. And by the way, that playoff run is what made Mike Babcock the coach he is, because no one was giving a fuck about him before that. So, and it happens. It seems like it happens every playoff. There's a goaltender that gets hot and comes out of nowhere and steals a series he shouldn't have stole. I don't know what the fuck's going on in Chicago. I really don't. I don't know if this is. I mean, they've won 3 cups since 2010. I don't know if this is playoff burnout. I mean, as we're recording on Monday for the listeners, and if this gets posted Thursday, a lot of what we're going to say is we're talking in the future of games that will have already been played or are being played the day this is posted. So might be a little strange for you, but just to give you guys a heads up of the timing of when we're talking about this, because Nashville and Chicago are playing tonight, and as of right now, I don't have an update on the score, but I mean, Chicago, I don't see any reason why they have no points. None. I mean, that is ridiculous. You got Patrick Kane, you got Taves, you got guys that are beasts, man. I mean, there's no reason for it. With all the talent Chicago has, I don't understand it. And if I was, like I said, I don't know when we cut out here, we had a little technical issue. If I was on that team, but I wasn't one of the, I wasn't Kane, I wasn't Taves, I would go, hey, look, one of you guys that get paid the big bucks and, wear the C or the A on your fucking jersey, you want to step up and fucking do something here? I mean, this is what leaders are supposed to do. When shit hits the fan, they step up and calm everybody down, keep everybody focused, or refocus everybody. And I mean, unfortunately, I haven't seen a lot of that series. I haven't seen a whole game. So I haven't seen how the game's flowing for the teams. I've only seen highlights, which is, I mean, it's good to give you goals and everything, but I mean, there's been teams that have played out of their mind that have ended up losing on a fluke goal. I mean, so I don't know if that's the case. What's going on? I just don't know, because I haven't had a chance to check out that series in any detail. But it's left me shaking my head, and I know that I know that around the hockey world, you have a lot of people going, all these people pick Chicago to beat Nashville or pick, Chicago to sweep Nashville. Now it looks like Nashville's on its way to sweeping Chicago, which I think you'd have to argue would probably be the biggest upset coming out of the first round. So
yeah, I don't think the NHL wants Nashville to go very far. Not exactly a huge market media-wise.
No, but from the Wings being in the Western Conference with Nashville for the years they were and meeting them in the playoffs a few times, Nashville seems like one of them towns that when the playoffs roll around, they pick up the intensity. The fan base picks up the intensity. I don't know how big of a fan base they have, but I mean, if they have, 50,000 fans and 20,000 of them are at the arena, on TV, it's going to look like, holy shit, these fans are out of control. What you don't see if you don't live in Detroit is that during playoff games, especially if they're in the finals and it could be a closeout game, is that they have Joe Vision where people pay to go sit in the Joe if the game's not at the Joe and watch the game on the screens at Joe Louis Arena. And if the game is in town, you have everybody who is, I guarantee you, at a sold out Joe Louis Arena. Plus, I think in 2002, it was in a couple 100,000s of people that just went downtown to be downtown when Detroit won. I'm not saying Nashville has a fan base like that, but I mean, it seems like the ones I've seen over the years when they're in the playoffs, they're fairly rabid. So, who knows? And it might not. At this point, dude, Chicago's won three of the last, 6 cups? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 3 of the last 7. Might not be a bad thing if Chicago doesn't get to the finals. Get some new blood in there. Might bring in some new viewers for the NHL. I mean, of course, I'll say this now and let it be known this is just coloring the entire fucking NHL talk for me. I feel sorry for anyone just now getting into the NHL, but because it's not the game that I grew up on. But hey, whatever. For them, I'm sure they're happy to have more viewers.
It's like they're getting into rock music in the late '90s.
I know, right? You heard this Nickelback band? They're pretty good. Now, as far as the other series that's got me kind of scratching my head is St. Louis pretty much taking it to Minnesota, man. It's 3-0 St. Louis on that one. Well, I don't know.
Oh, look at them trying to shake their first-round fodder. Monkey that we put on them.
I don't know where the fuck that's coming from. Unless my
Viva
memory
la Tarasenko.
I guess, but I mean, unless my memory serves me badly, I don't think I picked St. Louis to get out of the first round. I think I picked the Wild. So,
I think
you picked St. Louis, but I mean, so if that's the case, right there, I'm batting 0 for 2. If this continues to go the way it's looking. But I mean, once again, I'll say this: at least St. Louis was in the original expansion, and they've been around since I want to say '67. That was the expansion from the original 6 to the I think it was 12 teams.
They're the NHL equivalent to the Lions.
I thought that was the Leafs.
Well, the Lions are a charter member of the NFL, though. That's the only thing I would think would be different is the Blues aren't a charter member of the NHL. But I mean, they haven't won shit, so yeah. I don't even think they've been to I don't. If they've been to a Cup final, it had to be in the 70s, and I don't know about it because I wasn't alive. But I'm pretty sure they haven't even been to a Cup final. So in that way, the comparison holds up to the Lions. Which, by the way, later on, I do want to talk about the Lions' new uniforms. We'll get to that, but. All right, so and then third coming out of the West is a series going pretty much the way I thought it would. Got Anaheim leading Calgary. One of the interesting things I heard, which you hear every playoff, no matter what, usually more so with Canadian teams though, is that listening to the NHL station on Sirius, whatever that station is, a bunch of Calgary fans called up and basically said the fix is in. The NHL doesn't want Calgary getting out of the first round. So that's why the officiating is going the Ducks' way. And once again, this is not a series that I've seen, a complete game of, but I haven't really heard any complaints about the officiating coming out of that series besides Calgary fans being salty. Don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that or what.
I mean, it just sounds like sour grapes to me. I haven't seen anything, but I mean, usually when
hat maybe.
But just usually when you got a fan base doing that, to me, it usually seems like perhaps your team is sucking it up, and this is you being proactive in the excuse department.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, there have been series that have ended, or maybe not ended on a blown call, but have been decided. The deciding game has happened on a call that was either missed or a phantom call. The one that sticks out in my mind the most is the game in the 2006 playoffs with the Oilers and the Red Wings, where the Oilers scored the game-clinching and series-clinching goal against the Red Wings. They scored it off of a high stick. The Oilers player's stick was above the crossbar, and he batted it down on a deflected slap shot towards the goalie, which is that goal is supposed to be disallowed for high sticking right there, and the face-off takes place outside into the neutral zone. That didn't happen. They didn't even review the goal, if I remember correctly. They just said the goal counted, and then that turned out to be the last goal that the Oilers needed to close out Detroit in that series on their run to the Cup Finals that year. So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen anything come out of that series or heard anything about like that blatant of a fuck up on a call. So I don't know. I'm just wondering if you guys maybe have, because I sure as fuck haven't. So
I've watched, thanks to NBC, just if they could do it during the regular season, that'd be great. I could watch the playoffs now. I watched the St. Louis Blues at Minnesota game, and Minnesota was awarded a 5-on-3 because a guy checked a guy into the boards, and he knocked him down, and he was getting up, and as he was getting up, his elbow touched the other player, and immediately he was called for elbowing. Like, he was just getting off the ice. He didn't, like, hi-ya and throw a fucking elbow to his jaw or anything. He just was standing up.
Yeah, see that? Yeah, you touched on something that I wanted to get to, but I mean, let's finish up with the Western Conference, and we'll get to what you just brought up in a more broad sense. The last matchup is Edmonton and the Sharks, and I had the Sharks beating Edmonton, and it looks like the Fisher Price starter team out there in Edmonton's actually decided that it's going to be a series. And like I told you guys in the private chat, I'm watching the first game of that series. I was like, did no one tell Edmonton that this 2017, not 1987?
Playoff hockey, baby.
Coming out Batman's NHL now.
I mean, they were coming out fucking throwing their bodies around like, it was a Misfits concert circa 79, at Max's Kansas City, for fuck's sake. I mean, it was insanity watching that. I was like, holy shit. That's the pace. See, that's the pace hockey needs to have every game. And I realize it's not going to happen every game, but sadly, you don't see that pace most of the season anymore. Whereas, and here's proof right here. Here's a team that, they're a young team. Yeah, they probably had jitters and they had a lot of nervous energy, but they focused it and they came out. And they were playing a physical game against an older, and in some circles, people think more savvy, and definitely they feel that I've heard this multiple times over the last week, that San Jose's players outclass Edmonton's players. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know why the fuck all of a sudden that's a stat that matters to anybody. I mean, I could probably hit up Oakland County Correctional Facility, grab 22 random guys, and they'll outclass any team that the Dallas Cowboys put on the field that won a fucking Super Bowl in the 90s. I don't know what the fuck that means. Nothing to me. So,
hey, Rich.
Huh?
Quick breaking news. Ottawa just beat the Bruins in overtime.
Okay, so that's what? Ottawa's 2-1 for the Bruins?
Yep. Your favorite person was at the game, the commissioner.
Oh, well. This is what we call this is what's called on another podcast is like partial scores. And by the time people listen to it, they're going to be like, yeah, that was fucking 3 days ago. We know who fucking won that game. So it's really kind of hard to do breaking news on a podcast that's delayed 2 days before it's posted. But anyways, yeah, I got to say, I'm shocked by Edmonton's play. And if they actually get past the Sharks, I mean, it's very interesting for me because for the first time in most of my adult life, I don't have a team I'm rooting for right out the gate. And watching hockey without my team being in it is a completely different experience in the playoffs because
you haven't had to do it in 25 years.
Exactly. Like, you know, I automatically know who I want to win and who I want to lose because who I want to see in the next round and this and that, you know, and it's not the case now. Now I can just sit back and take in the game, and I don't have any favorites in there. I mean, I guess part of me has kind of an underdog rooting interest in Edmonton, even though I picked against them because they are such a young team. And I personally think that for all the hype that Crosby had coming into the league, I think, you know, whether he deserved it or not, I mean, guys like Connor McDavid have been, yeah, they've been hyped, but they haven't been hyped anywhere near Crosby levels. And all I can say to that is if he wasn't playing in Edmonton, we'd probably know who Connor McDavid was, like we do Sidney Crosby in his rookie year. But unfortunately, he plays for a team that's buried away in Canada, as far as most of America is concerned. So I'm happy to see Edmonton doing something, and I think it'd be nice to have a team that young come in and fuck some shit up and ruin some of these fucking veterans' plans for the summer here.
Well, they are ranked number 2, Rich.
Yeah, but dude, the respect just isn't there yet. Anything that's okay. Case in point, before Crosby ever fucking played one shift in a preseason game in the NHL, I had people coming to me talking about he's the next Gretzky.
Yeah, they did the same thing with LeBron. Exact same thing.
McDavid's hype was never fucking on par with Crosby's hype. And I think McDavid's hype has proven to be he's proven to legit have the hype that Sidney Crosby had coming into the league, but simply because of who he plays for, he doesn't get it. I mean, it's fucked up to say, but it's the same thing with Ovechkin, you know. And to the credit of people in the NHL, they say this themselves: if Ovechkin was from North America, the NHL, the faces of the NHL would be Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin damn near equally. That's what it would be. But because he's from Russia, he speaks with a thick accent. For whatever reason, there's still the North American hockey fan that just goes, fuck these European players. I mean, as much as I love Don Cherry and his fucking pimp-tastic outfits and shit and his crazy takes on stuff, Don Cherry is, he's probably lightened up over the last 20 years, but he was death on European hockey players coming into the NHL. I mean, he just loved to talk shit about them, about how they didn't play physical, how they shied away from the physical side of the game. And in a lot of cases, he was right. Very few times did you have guys like Konstantinov that were like a bowling ball out there looking to end people's fucking careers with hits that were from Europe.
Yeah, but Konstantinov did that very well.
You know, I mean, to the point where even Grapes was like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of European players, but this motherfucker don't play a European style of hockey. He could. When they got the Russian Five together, he went back to the European and Russian school of thought when playing hockey of, you know, puck possession, puck control, play keep away from the other team. You know, you're on a power play, you throw the Russian Five out there. Yeah, they only might take 4 shots, but they're 4 fucking shots that the goalie has to stand on his head to stop versus just firing shit at the net and hoping one gets past or hoping one gets deflected in. So, I mean, that's just me, and that's my bias against fucking Crosby, I guess, speaking. So, whatever. It is what it is. But I would like to see Edmonton come out of that first round. I mean, my bracket is if Chicago and Minnesota go down, my bracket's already fucked out of the West. So, might as well just fuck it all and have some fun here.
Well, my bracket's still alive, except for Chicago. Where the fuck are you, Bueller? Because I picked Chicago and St. Louis, Anaheim, and Edmonton.
Well, do you know the backstory about how Chicago became the Blackhawks that they are now in the late 2000s? Do you know what happened with that?
Unfortunately, I lost interest in the Blackhawks.
No, I understand, but it was, and you were still here in Michigan, and it was kind of a story around here because Scotty Bowman's son entered the organization as an executive, and Bowman went over to the Blackhawks as an assistant. And within a few years, boom, they win a cup in 2010. Boom, they win another cup a few years later. Boom, they win a third cup a few years later. And they built a team that was a complete clusterfuck after, they got rid of Roenick, Amonte, Belfour, Chelios. Basically the team had been a clusterfuck since the early 2000s, honestly. And, between Bowman and his son, boom, the magic got worked. And here they are, one of the elite in the league. So all I'm thinking is, if Bowman still has any say-so about what happens with that team, he's got to be fucking getting ready to birth kittens. Because I can tell you right now, Scotty Bowman doesn't take losing very well. I remember the post-game interviews. So, I mean, he even fucking, it was in 95 during the sweep that the Devils put on the Red Wings in the finals. One of the local sports writers, so this means they had a relationship with the team, asked Steve Yzerman a question about a play that had happened. And Bowman come fucking tear-assing through the fucking locker room, got in that reporter's face, and basically was like, don't ask any stupid questions of my players, blah, 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 and went the fuck off on him as much as I've seen Scotty Bowman go off. So, once again, there has to be some fucking shit going on behind closed doors in Chicago, and somebody's getting their ass chewed out. I can't believe they're just letting this happen, and, it's cool, whatever. There's always next season. No, not
on their home ice.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, you get embarrassed not once but twice in front of your home crowd. At some point, okay, look, it's the new NHL, blah, 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 whatever. That has to go by the wayside, and these motherfuckers are running roughshod over us, and it's time to show them that we may not win the game, but we're going to win every goddamn fight and start taking it to them. But then again, I don't think this team is built that
definitely
way.
Was Bowman's philosophy. If we can't beat you, we're going to beat you.
Well, for all the talk about how, in retrospect, people saying, Scotty Bowman wanted skill players and he wanted two-way players. If you notice, Scotty Bowman always had Stu Grimson, Darren McCarty, Joey Kosher. I mean, he always had hammers on that team that would handle shit if need be. I mean, that was even a guy like Marty LaPointe, who wasn't by any means of a stretch of the imagination, was a heavyweight when it came to dropping the gloves, but he could hold his own against most guys in a situation if need be. Same thing with Shanahan. I mean, I don't. That's why I think it's so ironic that he, for a while there, was in charge of the NHL disciplinary committee. I'm like, Brendan Shanahan? Yeah. Do they not remember his career the way I remember it? I mean, is this like, to me, that'd be like putting Michael Jordan in charge of the NBA's anti-gambling commission. It's like, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I'm sure if they get swept out of the playoffs, there's going to be some changes in Chicago. I know that with the salary cap and et cetera, there's already rumblings that they're going to have to decide who to give up, who to let go, and how to keep that team viable as far as a Stanley Cup contender. Who knows, man? 3 cups in 7 seasons. They get swept out of the first round. That organization might be like, you know what? Fuck it. This isn't the 80s and 90s where we can just keep throwing money to stay on top of the heap. We can't at least buy a guaranteed playoff spot by spending the most. So fuck it. Let's get what we can for these guys that are about to be unrestricted free agents and start our rebuilding process. And hopefully we open up a new window 5 years down the road. So, I mean, I don't know. I might be pulling an Earl saying the sky is falling. That's for sure.
But, I mean, kind of weren't, not even a goal. The playoffs are a week old. Not even a goal.
I know, that's embarrassing.
That's, I think, is the huge thing that sticks out in that conversation.
The opposing team goalie has more points than your entire team. Ouch. At your house. Ouch.
I mean, I don't think I remember a team that heavily favored to win a series being shut out like this for the first 2 games.
Well, it's number 1 versus number 8. Yikes.
Well, they don't seed them like that anymore per se, but yeah, I get what you're saying. They've prettied it up and changed the terms a little bit, like, you know, friendly fire is now, or not, but search and destroy is now sweep and clear. They call it something different to kind of pretty it up. But yeah, I have no idea, man. I have no idea. I'd really like to be able to get a hold of my buddy who's a diehard Blackhawks fan and has been since before they were good again. So, I mean, I know he's legit, and ask him, what the fuck is going on with your team?
He's been a Blackhawks fan since before that stupid song.
Oh, wait a minute. What song is this?
That song. It didn't fucking show up till, what was it, like 2008, 2009, whenever they score.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. All I know is that under ice they projected we want the cup during game 2, and it's like, well, you're going to have to score some to go ahead if you want the cup. So
you're going to have to win if you want to win the Stanley Cup thing that you talk about.
Now, moving over to the East. I'm sorry, what?
No, I'm saying just even a goal. You got to win. You got to score a goal. Start there.
It helps. You can't really skate to 0-0 ties to your way to the Stanley Cup. It doesn't work that way. Moving over to the East, probably the series I've watched the most, which is the Canadiens versus the Rangers. Going back to what you were saying about the 5-on-3, Earl, that game both teams had at least one 5-on-3 on each other. And I sent you guys a comment, and I stick by this. In playoff hockey, short of someone literally trying to kill somebody, there should hardly ever be 5-on-3s. Even more so in fucking overtime playoff hockey. I mean, unless it is just such a blatant fucking penalty. And at that point, you got to consider making it a major penalty and giving the guy the gate, if that's the case. I mean, it seems like they're calling ticky-tack shit. And, I mean, you know, whatever. I don't know how much it affected the outcome of the game, considering neither team converted on either 5-on-3. But that is something I'm noticing more this playoff year, is that the refs haven't swallowed the whistles as much as they used to. And it's funny because I hear people, depending on what team they're rooting for, claiming that the refs are either forgot their whistles or they're calling everything, but only against their team that they're rooting for. So,
right, but I mean, that's the truth at the same time. Like you, I don't have a stake in this playoff season, but I'm watching some of these games. I'm like, how do you not call that? And then like that play I told you about in St. Louis, I'm like, how the fuck did you call that? So, I mean, that's actually true. Sometimes points during the game, you're like, do you have a whistle? And then at other points of the game, you're like, please forget the fact that you brought a whistle with you tonight. What the fuck? Are you whistling at a pretty girl? What are you doing?
When I was little, it seemed like 5-on-3s only happened like if you had somebody dumb enough to get a penalty during the power play, and it was maybe for like 30 seconds. But they seem to be a little bit more commonplace nowadays. So, yeah, either the refs are getting more ticky-tack or, I don't know. Kind of with you there, Rich.
Yeah, but then you have shit like what happened in the Pittsburgh Blue Jackets series.
Uh-oh.
Where Matt Calvert basically cross-checks a Penguin, either in the shoulder or in the back of the neck, to the point where he breaks his stick, then skates around the guy as the guy's like kind of like half out on his feet, and starts fucking like throwing body checks into him as the guy is standing there. What the fuck? Yeah, okay. Eventually, after the league reviewed it, he got a game. I'm like, a game for that? You cross-check the dude so hard, at least shoulder pad height, or even higher, depending on the angle. And I've only seen one angle, so that's why I can't say exactly where he connected with. I think he connected on his upper back. Honestly, is where I think, like just above the letters on his jersey. But to break his stick over the guy and then to fucking skate around him like 180 degrees and start shoving him. First of all, where the fuck is the rest of the Penguins? And why are they not stomping the shit out of this asshole for doing that right there?
That's the same argument we had of why aren't you defending your goalie?
Yeah. I mean, that is fucking ridiculous, dude. And this I did hear on the NHL channel on Sirius is that there's apparently rumors going around the NHL Twitter sphere, and I don't know how much weight to put behind them, but I could see this happening, that there's been fucking mass memos sent out to all the playoff teams about there will be no nonsense and physical violence without serious repercussions in this year's playoffs. And if you remember when we were talking about Lundqvist getting laid the fuck out and those two fucking Rangers defensemen just skating off doing nothing about it in the regular season, I can't remember if it was you, Earl, or Chris, but one of you guys brought up maybe they got word down from the top brass at the NHL, hey, you can't retaliate anymore, or else we're going to throw your ass not only out of the game but suspend you for 4 or 5 games. And if that's the case, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You're handcuffing players from playing the game the way the rules say the game should be played. You don't like fighting? Fine. Outlaw fighting. All right. You don't like physical play? Fine. Make physical play illegal. But as long as those things are not against the rules, why are you having unwritten rules saying if you fucking retaliate against a guy who took liberties with your player, which is the sole reason for fighting in the game, then we're going to basically make your punishment so fucking draconian it's not going to be worth what you do to that guy. I mean, that just blew my doors off their hinges. I couldn't believe that. I could not believe there was not blood on the ice, goalies going at it, center ice, people climbing up in the stands.
All over again.
Yeah, people climbing up in the stands, players climbing up in the stands, taking their skate off and trying to cut the head off of, another player's fucking wife or some shit. Like I wanted to see some Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome shit, because that, to me, if I'm playing, I mean, Christ, I know guys that play beer league here in locally. And when I talked about that play with them, they're like, if some asshole had done that to one of my teammates, we'd have had to forfeit the game. But we'd have all beat the dog shit out of everybody on their team. And I'm like, thank you. I know I'm not the only one who sees this.
Maybe they're taking that Danielle girl's approach to it.
Danielle, you lost me on that one.
Cash me outside. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Well. Oh. Well, if that's the case, then I was going to say in this case, we need to put a camera outside, and I want to see somebody beating somebody's ass for all these cheap shots. I mean, seriously, dude, you cross-check someone in the back of the neck, you could have fucking that's some Todd Bertuzzi area. You could have seriously paralyzed that guy.
But if I recall, didn't to refer back to your Ranger situation here with Lundqvist, didn't the defenseman end up getting that guy back the next game? Like maybe that's how they got to do it now. You retaliate in the game, you get a huge fine, but hey, the next time you play him, if you fucking lay him out, regular penalty. Nothing we can do.
Well, I mean, there's that, and I mean, there's an old saying that hockey players and elephants have the best memories of any mammals on the planet. They both have very long memories and they never forget shit. So, I mean, that could be the case. I mean, if you look back at some of the, Earl brought it up, so fuck it, we'll keep running with that one. In the 96 playoffs, that hit Lemieux put on Draper, that completely shattered one side of his face to the point where it shifted over a couple inches. I mean, they didn't touch him that playoff series. They didn't even get to him at the beginning of the season next year. They got to him at the end of that season, almost a year later. It was something like 320 days after the hit had happened, so almost a full calendar year. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. To me, if you're cross-checking someone, high up in the back, on their shoulders, any place even near their head or their neck, to the point where you're breaking the stick in half, you got to go, dude. You got to go one way or the other. Either you have to prove that you're the meanest motherfucker on the ice so you can do that shit, or you need to take your ass whooping and go sit on the fucking bench. And I mean that I don't care if that was a Red Wing. I don't care if that was Bob Probert and he was still playing. I would still call it just as dirty of a fucking play and it's bullshit Bush League of a fucking hit. I mean, that is absolute garbage. So, and I'm arguing for the Penguins in a roundabout way. The only thing I can say is, Crosby, you're the captain. Why didn't you look over at somebody who actually can fight and say, go take his ass out, dude? What are you doing? You can't let him be
your
our
leadership
players.
skills, bitch.
Seriously. I mean, goddamn. You'd think none of these guys ever played hockey before, right? But, yeah, Montreal. So anyways, Montreal's ahead. The Rangers 2-1. And game 4, I hate saying this because it's so cliche, but it's definitely a must-win situation for the Rangers. And people probably listen to this. You don't know what he's talking about. Disagree with me. That's cool. I said it when we did our picks, though. If any goalie in these playoffs, I would put my money on to steal a series, it would be Lundqvist. And I think Game 4 is his chance to do that. If he goes in there and he has the game of his life, it might be enough momentum to get the Rangers back even and then fucking pull ahead in the series. But I think as he goes, so does that team go. If he goes in there and he has a fucking shit game and he's just like Swiss cheese in that fucking net, then that's it. Game over. Put her in charge, So, and Ottawa Bruins, would you say Ottawa won?
Yep.
So, yeah. So they're up on the Bruins. Haven't really watched a lot of that series. Don't know if you guys have comments, questions, thoughts.
No, I have. I was wondering, where the hell Ottawa was coming from, but Bruins just, I guess they seem for real a little bit.
Just a little bit. Didn't they win the first game? Didn't they come out of the gate with a win? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Because I recall hearing
they get one game. I
recall hearing Bill Burr going ape shit because he figured Ottawa was going to roll over him, and they started off with a victory.
Yeah, but I mean, Boston just has like bursts of being good. They're not good throughout the game. That's like this game tonight. They were down 3-0, and they came out, scored 2 goals within 51 seconds, and then all of a sudden it was tied at 3.
Well, I hate to sound like I'm minimizing the strategy or anything in hockey here, but in a hockey game, don't you just have to be good enough to win just in that game, and then you can regroup and look at the long term? I mean, don't they just have to be better than the Senators just for those 3 periods, and then we can work on the long game after that?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. During the game, they don't play a full game. Just points of the game, they're like really good, and then it's like, well, where'd they go?
Oh, they got that Detroit Lions disease.
Kinda.
Well, I mean, I got the years that they won the cup mixed up. They won it a little bit longer ago than I thought. They won it in the 2010-2011 season. And I mean, they do have an intern head coach. It's not like there's any guarantee this is going to be their head coach next season. So, I mean, they're not exactly still riding that high from that cup, I would imagine. And, you have a head coach who, okay, they're in the playoffs and they didn't, make him an offer to be, the permanent head coach. Doesn't exactly speak to their fucking confidence in him. So, I mean, leadership from the top down, man. I mean, that's you get the players and you get the team that you deserve. And if the front office doesn't have faith in the leadership behind the bench, then those players are going to be able to sense that. And yeah, they might not play a full fucking 3 periods. It happens. I mean, watching that Rangers Montreal game the other night, I was like, the Rangers know that this is like not a warm up skate. in the second period, right? Like I was like, this is not the same team I just watched before the 15-minute break between periods. This is insanity. You know, how are you going to come out like this after you came out like you did in the first period? But, you know, it happens. All right, and then
my favorite series. Wow. Full of what the fucking's there.
Capitals in Toronto, man. And, you know, Capitals is who I picked to go to the Cup Finals out of the East. That's not looking good. I mean, yeah, Toronto's only up 2-1, but I'm starting to have to question my own judgment here. Did I underestimate Babcock, and did I undervalue the talent that Toronto has, or are we just starting to see holes and, you know, chinks in the armor for the Capitals goalie? Now, you said it's your favorite series, so what are you thinking here, Earl?
They just look tired, bro. On the real, they want it. They try to go get it. They just look tired. I don't know if they're too old or what the fuck. But Austin and them they outskate them. And tonight's game, they went into overtime, and the Capitals just weren't there, bro. Seriously.
I've been watching. I can offer nothing contributing to this conversation regarding this series.
Well, like I said, it's a rarity that I get to watch any hockey being here in Middle America, quite literally. And ever since the hockey playoffs started, they're on 3 different channels here. So I'm like, whoo, hockey. And I just been taking an interest in different series, and other than, you know, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the only reason the Chicago Blackhawks isn't hold my interest is because, you know, we've said it, they've done absolutely nothing. I flip back to the game every now and again, like, did you do nothing? No, you still nothing. All right. But the Washington Capitals really have something going, and they really want it, and they're trying real hard. I think their gas tank is on E, or like right above the red line.
Well, that is something that's been accusation has been leveled at a lot of President's Trophy winners over the years. Is, you know, yeah, it's nice that you guys had the most points at the end of the regular season, but did you save enough in the gas tank for the fucking playoffs? I mean, how many times did, you know, Detroit, Dallas, teams like that win the President's Trophy and then, you know, fizzle out
in the first round, second round? Yeah.
That's why I said it's no guarantee the President's Trophy is no guarantee that you're going to the to your conference finals, let alone the Cup finals. Whereas I think pretty much if you have the best record in basketball, you can pretty much almost guarantee at least the conference finals out of that. I mean, it's just the way their playoffs are set up. Football is a completely different animal because it's one and done. And baseball, you know, it's a grueling 162 game season, and then boom, you have a 1-game wild card playoff. You have a, you know, best of 5 series, a best of 7 series, and then you're in the World Series. You just played 6 months of ball for everything to come down to, you know, if you go to a 4-man pitching rotation in the playoffs and 3 of those pitchers have off days, you're out of the fucking playoffs. So
don't we know it?
I mean, that's just
for Tiger fans.
Yeah, no shit, right? I mean, that's just a shock to the system as far as difference between regular season and playoffs. But I mean, I guess I'm going to call it now. I'll say it now. I guess I slept on fucking Toronto, man. I was goofing on them fuckers, you know, sending you guys memes of a guy with one fucking chin hair. Says, you know, Toronto's playoff beard and all that shit. And maybe I shouldn't have been goofing on him. I don't know. Austin Matthews, I don't know. Maybe he is the player that people want him to be in Toronto, you know?
I just think them as a whole, though, man. The games I've been watching, like I'm saying, the team as a whole has just been really on the move. They're racing every puck. They clear the net. They clear the zone. They get to the dump-ins. They're just out-skating the Caps, dude. That's just it.
But that's that. I don't know how much of that to put at Babcock's feet, though. Because I know that Babcock's coaching style wears on veterans very quickly. Because apparently he goes into when he walks into a locker room, he treats everyone like they're retarded and they're fucking rookies. And there's not many veterans that can handle that. But that's such a young team. Maybe they fucking crave that type of treatment. Maybe they actually, it fuels them. I mean, how many times have you ever heard 85 Bears, case in point? The defense hated Ditka. I mean, they didn't carry Ditka off the field. They carried Buddy Ryan off the field. I mean, that's all there is to it. So I got to wonder how much of that team's just pure fucking meanness was based on we hate our fucking head coach. And if you've heard the stories and seen your documentaries, Buddy Ryan was right there fucking fueling it, telling basically Ditka, get the fuck out of my defensive meeting. Who the fuck do you think you are? Which blows my mind, because if you see pictures of those two standing next to each other, you wouldn't think Buddy Ryan would talk that way to Mike Ditka. But he did, and Ditka listened, so that's got to tell you something. So maybe that rough and tumble fucking, take no bullshit, no excuses type coaching is working for Toronto. I mean, if it is, more power to them. I'll tell you what, if they make it to a fucking cup final, God, that honestly I think will be the only team besides Montreal that if they made it to the cup finals out of Canada, that's a Canadian team, then it wouldn't hurt the NHL's ratings.
Question for you. This is like what? This is year 3 of Babcock in Toronto, right?
2, I believe.
I say, isn't it about the time that it's usually year 2 or 3 Babcock kicks in? Just based on his history here in Detroit.
Babcock took over, I want to say, in the 05-06 season, and they won the cup in the 07-08 season. So that would be about right. That'd be about right. And if you notice, when Babcock took over, a lot of the veterans that were there, because he took over post-lockout, if I remember correctly, a lot of veterans that were there after the lockout weren't there. Shanny was gone. ICEman had retired. Zetterberg and Datsuk was a rookie in 2002. So you got to think, the 2006 season, 2006, 2007 season, he's only 5 years in the league at that point. That's a veteran as far as years put in, but that's not a grizzled veteran as far as, double digits in the fucking league. So it might be something to that, Chris.
See Datsuk got a KHL title?
No, I didn't see that.
I saw something about that today.
Oh, that reminds me. There's an interesting story to come out of the KHL. We'll get to after we finish up with the NHL playoffs here.
I do want to congratulate our listeners that already know this, but Chicago finally has a goal.
Who scored it? Do you know?
I don't. I just turned back on the game. It's 1-0 at the beginning of the second. That's why I missed it. It was at the very beginning of the second period.
Well, there you go. What's that
by the time we post,
Chicago?
It's a tie series.
I know, right? Like, what the fuck was all this talk about Chicago sucking? This makes no sense. There you go. Chicago doesn't need home cooking. They need to eat it like Waffle House to get their edge back. Talk to a waffle waitress. That'll make you appreciate being in the NHL.
Yeah, they're playing Nashville, right? See, tons of Waffle Houses.
Oh, smothered and covered, baby. Smothered and covered hash browns. All right, so the last series, which looks like to be the one that's going to end real fucking soon, Pittsburgh over to Blue Jackets. I think we all called Pittsburgh to get past the Blue Jackets. I don't think any of us sat there and said it was going to be a hard time for them, so pretty much we're all in lockstep on that one. My only gripe about that series, like I said, is I do not understand why someone didn't stick up for their teammate to the tune of trying their best to remove that guy's fucking teeth from his mouth. Culliver for fucking the cheap shot he laid on their player. I just don't understand that. So, but yeah, so that's where that stands as of Monday night.
Yes.
Now you said Datsuk's team won a title over there in the KHL.
Yeah, I saw something today about Datsuk in the KHL, and he's like the first player. Let me Let me Google this shit.
Rasmussen scored.
Okay.
Number 70? Really?
Yeah, numbers have gotten wonky, dude. Remember when you used to hardly ever see a goalie with a number higher than like 39? Now I see goalies with numbers in like the 70s and 50s and shit.
Oh, yeah? There you go. From ESPN yesterday, what does it say? Datsuk adds, give me the fucking headline. I click on it and it goes away. Awful. Says Datsuk adds KHL title to Stanley Cup victories. So, yeah.
All right. And
anybody shocked
1
by
year
that? Not me.
after leaving the Wings because he was too hurt to keep playing here. Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink.
yeah, hurt. Yeah.
Upset, more like it.
To me, lending more credence to his claim that he was too handcuffed by the mentality that coaches and the mentality that permeates in the NHL as far as how players are allowed to play, the creativeness they're allowed to bring to the table, the freedom they're allowed as far as making plays. You know, that was one of his major gripes. Seems to be, he goes to a league that basically lets him play how he wants to. And here you go, boom. Here's a guy who walked away from the NHL who is playing in a league that's got to be on par as far as talent as the NHL. And he just won their championship. So
Took him a whole year. Slow down, Datsuk.
Yeah, now the interesting story that I wanted to bring up is that, according to Sports Express, a listening device was allegedly discovered by coaches of the, oh my God, I can't even pronounce that, Magnitogorsk, okay, inside their coach's room at the Ice Palace in St. Petersburg. This is obviously in Russia. And basically it was the team that Datsuk's team was playing against found a listening device in their coach's room, in the locker room. So yeah, this is interesting because it's like, I'm going to send you guys the link so you can see the picture of this device, and I want you to take a look at this device and tell me what your impressions of it are. I don't want to be accused of putting any ideas in your head. That's why I'm asking you to do that.
What the hell?
So have you guys both seen it now?
Yeah. I've seen it.
Okay.
That looks more, I'd think a bomb before I'd think a listening device.
I would think a homemade bomb from some basement dwelling motherfucker.
Yeah, that looks like...
looks like something someone tore apart a Lionel train set, took masking tape, or not masking tape, but clear tape, taped 3 batteries together and put a couple wires hanging off the end of it to make it look good.
Dude, look at my homemade vape pen.
Exactly, yeah. That's it. When people say their vape pen exploded, this is what they're talking about.
I'm kind of scared to ask how they got it in there.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a sec, Chris. You said how could they get it in there?
Well, I was saying my thing would be I would be scared to ask how they got it in there because it's all wrapped up. So I don't want to know where that came from.
Oh, okay, I got you. Now, what did you say, Chris?
I'm saying anyone know? I mean, it's the off season. Where was Bill Belichick last week? Just saying.
He's over in Russia. How do I get through to these kids? You cheat like Bill Belichick.
I mean, Belichick sounds Russian, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I never really thought of that. Yeah, there you go. That's way more interesting than my tinfoil hat theory. So my tinfoil hat theory is that with players like Ovechkin and a few other players threatening to play in the Olympics despite the NHL's ban, and then go to the KHL if the KHL will have them, I'm wondering if this is some sort of, this is total pulling this out of my ass. I'm admitting this up front. Tinfoil hat theory shit. I'm wondering if this is some sort of way to try to discredit the KHL as a legitimate league, to discourage players from using that as a place to go if they want to play in the Olympics and still want to play in a professional league.
Now, did they test this? Can they actually hear off of this?
I don't know. As far as reading it, it says neither team's general managers or players wanted to comment on it. The team's venue that it was found in, which is Datsuk's team, SKA St. Petersburg, St. Petersburg. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Anyways, says it's the richest team in the KHL, and the vice president of their team is also vice president of hockey in Russia. Writer Alexei Shevchenko of Sports Express reports the device had a microphone attached to it, and that Metallurg was expected to send it to the league for more investigation. Then there's some commentary. As you can see, the device isn't exactly cutting-edge spy tech. It looks like something that would have been built in the shop class after a trip to Radio Shack.
Where does it record? That's my question. I see your microphone. Where is it? What is it? A transmitter? What would it record onto?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so basically someone's listening in real time, or it's transmitting to a recording source. And here's the thing.
Apparently something that needs a wire, so fucking... It's obviously something that would have to attach to that red wire.
But in the day and age of Bluetooth...
Though,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's a tan wire of some sort that's leading off the picture, so it's attached to something.
But I mean, still, look at this. In the day and age of Bluetooth technology and the internet, I find it hard to believe that the richest team in the KHL would stoop to some shit that looks like it was made by someone who's on the spectrum. I mean, serious.
It's Gary Bettman stealing his kid's science fairs or his grandkid's science fair project and putting them in the locker room. This will make them think they're evil.
It's literally what it looks like. It looks like
it's a recording device. Yeah.
It looks like some kid forgot that the science fair was coming up on Monday, and so Sunday night taped a bunch of shit together, slapped some wires on it, and called it a fucking day. So, yeah, that's what it looks like to me. But yeah, I don't know. My little half-ass conspiracy theorist that resides in like 1-2% of my brain was just like, wow, that's awfully convenient that this accusation comes out, gets made, and then when you see the device they're talking about, you're like, really? This is supposed to be something that someone's spying on another team with? I mean, seriously, you just do better to hide a cell phone and leave it on. I mean, when you it looks like it at least. I don't know, but yeah. So
worst spy device ever.
I know. No wonder they lost the Cold War. Jesus Christ, it's the best.
Someone had a naked gun.
No, that's not like what was that movie with Val Kilmer in the 80s? The spy movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Spies Like Us.
No, that was Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase.
Top Secret? Was that Val Kilmer?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it goofed on goofy spy movies and shit. Yeah, that looks like something that, as a goof, is still too goofy to be in an Austin Powers movie as a goof for a spy device. So that's what has me shaking my head, going, "The fuck."
I thought you were talking about the movie Geniuses.
Oh, Real Genius? No. But that is a great movie by itself, though. So that's a little interesting piece. And then looking that up, I saw another article. I literally just saw this. It says hockey's Russian VP of hockey, which I'm assuming is the owner of Datsuk's team in the KHL that we just talked about, says Ovechkin will not play for the Olympic team without NHL agreement. He suggests retiring from the NHL for Ovechkin if he wants to play for Team Russia.
Wow.
Which tells me if he does that, he's going to end up doing what Ilya Kovalchuk did. And let's see here. Rottenberg elaborated to championat.com saying that he would only guarantee Ovechkin and other Russian players an Olympic appearance if they retire from the NHL and play for the KHL their next season. If you take the same step as Kovalchuk did and leave the NHL for the KHL, then you can count on participating in the Olympics. Even then, the NHL decided everything. Without their permission, Kovalchuk wouldn't be able to leave. Very difficult negotiations. It was the league's decision. Otherwise, he wouldn't leave. Same with Datsuk. Goes on to say, we don't doubt our guy's patriotism, but the last word belongs to the NHL. There's the legal side of the contract. On Tuesday, all three, let's see, when was this written? This was this is a few weeks ago. They're updating the story from a few weeks ago is what this is. Basically it goes down to what we talked about when we brought it up the first time, is that the NHL would basically force these guys to retire from the NHL. They would have to then go to the KHL, play there. It sounds like for the season preceding the Olympics or the season of the Olympics, and then they could go play in the Olympics for their country.
Bottom line, though, they can't stop them.
Well, that's another thing. I don't know the legality of these contracts once you start crossing, borders of countries. Like, I know that if one team is a contract with a player, that other teams have to honor that contract in certain regards. I don't know if other leagues have to. And it sounds like to me the KHL is just saying we're going to cover our asses by saying if you want to play for us, and by extension play for Team Russia, you have to retire from the NHL.
And power play goal.
Chicago?
Yep, Kane.
Well, there you go. Once again, fuck the home cooking. Chicago can score. But now what's interesting about that is because players can retire and then come back from retirement. I mean, it's happened before. Mario Lemieux retired in the 90s because of leukemia, or was it Hodgkin's? I can't remember. He had some form of cancer and then came back. And I think he actually retired one more time and then came back to play Crosby's rookie year with him. Now, granted, he was the owner of he was part owner of the Penguins at that time. So, I mean, he could pretty much fucking do what he wanted to do. But I mean, I don't know the legality of any of this, but this is going to suck if there's if there's a large push for Russian players to play for the Russian hockey team, Olympic hockey team, because you're going to lose a lot of good players if they decide to go this route, because national pride means more to them than playing for the Stanley Cup. So,
Rich, I'm sorry, man. This game is fucked up. Chicago's back on the power play.
All right, outstanding with the middle of the game updates.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like Nashville is having an implosion this whole game. This isn't the same Nashville team I've been watching the past two games. I'm just saying.
Maybe this game is the start of Nashville going, oh shit, we're not supposed to be doing this, and they start crumbling. You never know.
I think it's the home cooking from Easter dinner that's killed them.
Were they too much ham yesterday?
They got the itis.
That's something.
They're out there with the meat sweats and the itis.
Half the team's on a D to D designation because of the itis.
Cold cut seeping through your pores. Stop it.
Knew I shouldn't have had that fifth helping of stuffing. Fuck.
Yeah.
Got the farts.
But so yeah, that's it. It's all the news that's in hockey that I have. Like I said, I have to admit, I get a kick out of that listening device. Maybe if Chris can remember, he can put it up on the Sporgy Twitter page so people can see it and go, "What the fuck?"
Internets.
Or look it up yourself. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? Easter needs a game. Can we talk about this? I mean, they've obviously football and Thanksgiving are hand in hand. They've managed to, in the last, I'd say, decade or so, kind of image the NBA for Christmas. Can we have a decent game on Easter? Some kind of baseball game, something to watch. I mean, I know today, you had the Patriots Day games with Boston, where they start at 9 or some shit.
They start early or something.
Yeah, but can we get an Easter game, Major League Baseball? You got 162 of these motherfuckers times, was it 32? Let's get one.
Well,
yes, no, Mine Island here.
Well, no. I'm thinking the problem is that baseball, you have, since Easter's such a fluid holiday, it's never on the same day.
Yeah,
it would have to be a season by season basis, and they already have Jackie Robinson Day, which is like their April thing for baseball. So, I mean, I don't know.
No, you're right. Sometimes Easter can happen in March while spring training is going on. I did not think of that.
I mean...
So, never mind. Major League Baseball. Could I say anything?
If you want to throw it out there, I guess we could say, college football. Every college football team should have their spring game on Easter.
There you go.
But who besides the most hardcore fan of a college football program pays attention to the spring games? Let's be honest.
The families of the people playing in it.
I guess. I mean, I'm just picturing okay, so after Michigan's spring game, does Harbaugh come out shirtless with his khakis on and have a ham version of a turducken to award the player for that's MVP of the game or some shit like Madden used to do? I mean, what would make it special?
Everyone in the stands. Harbaugh says, all right, battle royale. Tries to fight every person in the stands, every male anyways.
In Ann Arbor, he'd win a lot of those fights. I mean, I hate to say it. It's a nice city. Very lax marijuana laws for years now. Not the most masculine of cities. A lot of guys with beards who haven't earned the right to wear them, in my opinion.
A lot of tight pants.
A lot of flannel, but they probably never even held an axe before. So, there's a lot. Was it MC Breed said there ain't no future in your fronting? He should have added this caveat, unless you go to Ann Arbor.
Come to Ann Arbor. There's future in the front.
You can front all day in Ann Arbor, baby. And we won't even assume your gender. Oh, Christ.
All right. It just dawned on me that there's kind of like a huge elephant in the room that we're all kind of we haven't mentioned it yet. Isn't the NFL draft next week? It's the last week of April usually, correct?
Ever since they moved it, I'm not so sure, to be honest with you.
No, it's next week.
I was going to say, it has to be coming up. Oh, is this where we get to bitch about the draft?
Probably. Is there anything to bitch about?
Yeah, I got a big motherfucking gripe with the draft. I'm tired of them dragging this shit out over fucking 3, 4, 5 days, whatever the fuck it is now. I don't want first round on one night, second round on the next night, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth over the next day or two. Do it like you used to fucking do it. Okay, maybe break it up into 2 days. I can kind of understand that to kind of keep it in the prime time interest, like after people get off work so they can watch it. But if you're going to do that, make it a Friday afternoon to Friday night and Saturday afternoon to Saturday night and be done with it by the time Sunday comes along. Because isn't that the point of the NHL, or not the NHL, the NFL, what they're trying to do? They're trying to turn everything into an event. Well, what's one of the biggest advertisers in the NFL? Booze. And when people think about, partying pregame for the NFL, they're not talking about sitting around playing Magic the Gathering and drinking O'Doul's, okay? They're talking about getting fucked up, barbecuing charred, rotting meat, and being everything that men aren't supposed to be anymore. So stop breaking up the fucking draft over a span of a couple days trying to get another night of ratings where you win the cable ratings. Ooh, big fucking deal.
Yeah, because by night 2 of the draft, I refer to as, all right, we're into the nobody cares part of the draft. Everybody only cares about the first night.
But here's the honest to God bitch of it, though, man. How many good players have come in the third, fourth rounds, even fifth round? And I'm not talking the occasional one. I'm not talking like the Tom Brady that's a fucking, exception that proves the rule. There are still starters and stars in the league who come out of the third, fourth, even sometimes the fifth round. And to bury that part of the draft in there seems to me you're just basically begging your fans to be even, I hate to say it, but to be front-running douchebags. To be like, ooh, yeah, I watched the first and second round, but I didn't watch the third, fourth, and fifth round. This shit's boring. I don't know. It just doesn't.
I just hope we get T.J. Watt first round. That's our pick.
Well, you're talking about the Detroit Lions doing something right, all right?
I can hope.
Hold up, because, oh, shit. Who is, God damn it, dorky motherfucker, Mel Kiper. Let's see what his mock draft is, because isn't he supposed to be like the go-to guy for this shit?
Yes, his name is thrown around all the time when it comes to the draft.
All right, well, I got him and Todd McShay's mock draft, latest mock draft.
That's the two.
And they both have Myles Garrett, defensive end, going to Cleveland. Solomon Thomas, defensive end, going to the Niners. Third, Kuiper has Malik Hooker, safety, going to the Bears. McShay has Jonathan Allen, defensive lineman, going to the Bears. Jacksonville at 4. Kuiper has Jonathan Allen. McShay has Leonard Fournette, running back, going to the Jaguars. No one has anybody trading, huh? All right, let's see. I'll see if I can. They both have Mitchell Trubisky as the first quarterback going. Out of both of them, Kuiper has him going 6th overall to the Jets. And then he has McShay has Deshaun Watson going 7th round to the Chargers. So I don't know. I guess let's just take it from the top. Do you think Cleveland's going to go with anything but a fucking quarterback?
Yeah, because they have quarterback by committee there already.
Yeah, but they have shitty quarterback by committee. Like they kind of have to. I mean, is anyone you say they have quarterback by committee? You see any one of those quarterbacks taking Cleveland anywhere?
No, their whole team is shit. A quarterback's not going to help them. You get the best. Go put the GOAT over there. Go put Tom Brady over there, and he'll fail.
Oh, he'd end up divorced because Giselle's going to be like, I can't handle that orange. That's just not fashionable. Sorry.
I don't run with dogs, okay?
But I bet you she's been down for some doggy style.
Ooh.
That was my best the Todd impersonation. Well, all the argument I heard coming out of Cleveland was we want to build around our defensive and offensive lines. So it seems to me that Cleveland's already thrown in the towel on them being a fucking contender anytime here soon. And they're going into full rebuild mode, if that's the case. And they're building from the middle outward. So why would you take a quarterback who's going to get beat up if you have no protection for him as far as an offensive line to sit there and take a beating for X amount of seasons and then possibly be, number 23 since the year 2000 to be their starter and then, do nothing? So, I mean, I see him. I can understand them taking a defensive lineman, considering that's all I've heard. But then again, I've heard that the 49ers and them both wanted, or they're, quote unquote, the article I saw yesterday said they're itching to trade down. So it seems to me they're wanting more of, they want, middle round draft picks, middle of the first round draft picks over, number 1 and number 2 and blowing their load on that guy, which would also speak to, especially Cleveland, looking to rebuild. Because if you're looking to rebuild, you want to get the most valuable players at all the positions you can as quickly as possible. It's not like you have one guy you can just, plug and play and boom, you're in the Super Bowl.
No, but that guy is a freak, though.
Garrett?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm old school. That's why I could never run a team in the NFL except for on Madden, because you can still win this way on Madden. But I always build my team with a defense and a strong running game. And then quarterback is the third or fourth thing I take as far in consideration down the line. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, I can build a team around a fucking game manager. So, but that's a video game. That's how come I'm not a GM. Even though, God, Chris, were we on the air when that guy sent his resume to be GM of, I think it was the Browns, and he said that every season that Madden comes out, he's at the midnight release, and he takes his team to the Super Bowl every year, and that was like his resume to the team as to why they should hire him.
Well, shit for the Browns. No one fucking put it. I mean, Lions GM as well. I mean, I'll say it.
Here you go, Earl. When the Lions get rid of their newish GM that they have, go ahead and send your resume in. You might just get hired. Look, I'll tell you this. I make you a fucking promise on my life. You get hired as the Lions GM. I'll go out and buy Lions jerseys. How about that? I've never owned a Lions jersey.
And they have a gentleman on the team with your last name. You so totally could.
From last season.
I know. The only other whitehead I remember was he was a defensive lineman for the Saints back in the 2000s. People were like, why don't you get his jersey? I'm like, because he plays for the Saints and fuck the Saints. Why fuck the Saints? Who are they?
You're a fucking Bucs fan, yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, I have to explain this to you when you call yourself a football fan? They're like, oh, I forgot.
You just told Earl to go buy a Packers jersey.
I know, pretty much, right?
Yeah, no. I did buy a Favre jersey, but that was after he went to Minnesota.
Still division team.
Yeah, but it ain't the Packers or the Bears. Vikings are all right.
Still division team.
Well, speaking of your beloved Lions, Kuiper has Charles Harris, defensive end, going to him at 21st overall pick.
What? No.
McShay has, and I'm going to butcher this name, so forgive me, Tackarist McKinley, outside linebacker. Takkarist. That's his first name. Tackarist is, I guess, how you pronounce that?
Sure.
Yeah. So they have him going defense no matter what.
Do they have T.J. Watt picked in the first round?
Hold on here. I'm not seeing him. Neither Kuiper nor McShay.
Why, is he as good as JJ?
No.
Well, then isn't that a good thing?
He's not far off, but he's not JJ. I mean, JJ is part of that freak mentality. You know, there's people that come into the league that get in a position and they're just fucking freaks. Randy Moss was a freak as a wide receiver. And Ndamukong Suh was a freak as a defensive tackle. Charles Haley, Reggie White, there's just people that are freaks. J.J. Watt is a fucking freak of nature. There's no way people should be able to do what he does.
Okay, Kuiper has him going 58th overall to the Seahawks, so that's well out of the first round. And McShay, I don't see him period for through the first 64 picks. Unless I'm missing.
Did you guys hear the Seahawks said they'd be willing to shop Richard Sherman this week? It was probably last week.
Yep. And I also heard that a deal will be done with the Raiders and Beast Mode.
Really?
That's going to mean that there has to be some sort of compensation going to Seattle from Oakland.
Well, get this. Beast Mode said he is not coming out of retirement until the papers have been signed to release him of his contract. Now, what happens behind closed doors, however much money they get to release him, well, that's on them.
Well, it'd have to be, I'm imagining this type of deal. I don't know. I don't even know if you can make this type of deal anymore. I know they made it, the Bucs made it with Oakland to get Gruden. But, I mean, it seems to me there'd have to be some sort of cash exchange hands, and there'd have to be draft picks that go to Seattle from Oakland for them to basically release.
Be careful, because the Raiders are going to Las Vegas. That's mob country right there. Fucking Seattle be getting visits talking about, hey, let my boy go.
They're going to Suge Knight him. They're going to Suge Knight him. They're going to treat him like he's Vanilla Ice, hang him off the edge of off a balcony in a hotel in Vegas by his ankles. Hey, long way down there, huh, white boy? You're going to sign away all your rights to the fucking Ice Baby. Sure am. Paper, pencil, thank you. But no, the only way I can imagine is if there's compensation through draft picks and monetarily. Because why else would they fucking basically void his contract, rip up his contract? They have no motivation to help another team.
I said it to you guys in the chat. And man, I'm more and more this unfolds, the more and more I'm starting to think it. Do you think his retirement was a fuck you for not giving him the ball in that Super Bowl?
Ooh.
I think. I think the fact that brain fart. Pete Carroll is known as his players coach and is known as a nice guy, touchy-feely father figure type coach, and breeds that type of culture in his teams. I'm starting to wonder if that's a little played up for the media's sake, because for Lynch to walk away from a team that was their window was still open to go back to the Super Bowl,
Went
and obviously
back Super Bowls.
I mean, and obviously he still has a desire to play. If he's even talking about it, that means it's there somewhere. For Sherman to be on the trading block, I don't know if he still is, but like he was, that tells me that all is not well as everyone in Seattle would like us to think in that organization. I mean, that's your two marquee players on that team that will be gone within 2 seasons of each other.
Well,
if it goes according to plan.
You also traded away one of your best wide receivers in Golden Tate.
Exactly. And I remember Golden Tate, when he got here, had a lot of cryptic comments about his time in Seattle. Like, he walked right up to the edge of talking shit, but he never crossed that line. And I remember thinking, that's weird, because from everything I hear, Seattle's like this, it's just this wonderful environment. The culture surrounding the team is great because Carroll is so, carefree and hey, if you fuck up, we'll get him next time. He's not Marty Schottenheimer yelling at motherfuckers and shit. So I don't know, man. Maybe that's just a media facade, and there's some real fucking bad blood boiling in that locker room. Who knows?
Well, man, Carroll can't. I've never bought that image they give of Pete Carroll simply because of the way he did those kids at USC. Quite honestly, because you know how they recruit him. Oh, we're a family, and I got your back, and this, and that. As soon as he got caught, dude, it was almost like hearing the fucking the cartoon bongos. For him running from USC back to the NFL.
Yeah, and surprisingly, he didn't take a big of publicity hit for that as I figured he would have. And I don't know if it's because of his personality or because he went to Seattle and they won as quickly as they did under him. I mean, I don't think he really got the heat he deserved for that blown call in the Super Bowl and not running the ball at the end and throwing it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine any other coach getting the pass that he got with that? I mean, there was no talk of that's his job. He's now on a short leash. He's on the hot seat. There was none of that. It was just, he made the call. Okay. Like, to this day, I haven't gotten, at least if it's been put out there, I haven't heard it, a rock solid answer why he didn't run the ball. I mean, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, he said that everybody was expecting it, so he tried to be kind of tricky with it. It was on him. He took full blame for it. I
know, but guys, let's be honest. They're going to do one of two plays, a pass play or a run play. All right. It's not like he could pull out like this isn't Boise State in some bowl game in the mid 2000s where they can pull out the Statue of Liberty play and win on that one. This is the NFL. I mean, unless he had a trick play from hell up his sleeve, he was going to either have to pass it or run it. That's it. And why not? You have arguably at that point the best player on his team is that running back. Why wouldn't you put their hopes on his back and say, get me them fucking few yards and get into that end zone?
And he said it's because everybody was thinking that. Everybody had that exact same thought.
Except for Bill Belichick.
But I mean, we've talked about this with Tom Brady and plenty other teams. When the game is on the line, do you or do you not want your best player to have the ball? On Seattle, it would have been Lynch that day. You don't get a name like Beast Mode because you fucking shy away from goal line plays. Dude, that guy has drugged people into the end zone. He's come out of the other ends of piles. He's not supposed to come out.
Yeah, I mean, that's watching highlights of some of his runs. It's just like, holy fuck, man. Like he definitely did not shy away from contact. And in that situation seems like the type of situation that he fucking lives for, is to just ram that ball down the other team's defense's throat.
Right. I mean, they were a yard, maybe?
I believe so. Wasn't it 3rd and 1?
It was 3rd and goal. It was right there on the 1.
Well, that's what I meant, 3rd and goal, yeah. Which means they could have ran it once and then they still had another fucking chance. Or were they out of timeouts? I can't remember. Fuck.
I can't either, but I was stunned.
I was still drinking that Super Bowl. It's a little fuzzy.
You call a quick slant, and you have a guy whose nickname is Beast Mode standing behind your fucking quarterback. You're a special kind of special. I can't even get there. That is the very definition of what the fuck it's.
I'm kind of there with you, Chris. I mean, we might as well name, if we name the episodes, we might as well name this one InfoWars 2 Volume or 2.0 or whatever, because I like Marshawn Lynch as a player. I like him as a person from what I've seen. He's a no bullshit type of guy. We talked about him last week about when he was like, "Nah, man, I'm just all about that action, boss. I ain't about sitting here saying the same old shit every week in, week out." And how that didn't rub us the wrong way. So obviously, maybe I'm skewed a little bit more towards his side of the situation. But if he did fucking say, you know what, that's how you're going to do me? All right, well, fuck it. I'm done playing. I'm going to take a year off and go make Skittles commercials in fucking Scotland. I can't really be mad at him, man. And then you add to that Golden Tate leaving and kind of being very choosy about his words about his time in Seattle. And once again, it's just the rumors. It's just the scuttlebutt. But, I mean, I heard Richard Sherman was asking to be traded. This wasn't a situation like they came to him and said, you're on the trading block. And he was like, oh, God, please don't. So, yeah, maybe something is rotten, not necessarily in the state of Denmark, but city of Seattle.
It is definitely sleepless in Seattle.
It could be the fish, the fish market.
Stinking like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Well, some other little interesting picks as far as hometown guys. Kuiper has Jabril Peppers going 28th to the Cowboys.
Good for them. Hope that happens.
Oh, yeah, that would make perfect sense. Not kidding.
And then
McShay has Peppers going 31st to the Falcons. So
again, don't hate that move. Speaking of, did you hear Roddy White retired officially?
No.
Yeah, I think that went down last week. Yeah, Roddy White has said, and I'm done. So there you go. They can need a guy like that down in Atlanta. You got to do something, because that's going to go down in the history of blowing it. Yes, Patriots, obviously, hell of a game, quite the comeback. But man, that was almost as monumental as I think it's. What year was it? Like the 2006 Mets? They were the Mets that were in the playoffs on September 1st, and by the end of September, they were out of the playoffs. That level of blowing it.
Well, there's many definite, many points in sports history we could point to. Just as early as the NBA season last year, OKC has the Warriors down 3-1, and they come back and let them win. How? The very next series, the Warriors have Cleveland down 3-1, and they let them come back and win the championship. How?
Shit, if you don't want to leave home, you just got to look at 2006 and 2012 World Series with our Tigers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
How the fuck are you going to just dominate the playoffs? In 2006, took the Yankees to school, took the fucking A's to school, and then just laid a fucking egg in the World Series. 2012, it was like a repeat of 2006. It was like having a nightmare that's a recurring nightmare over again.
Didn't we get swept in 2012 by the Giants? Or did we squeak out one? No, yeah, we got swept.
Yeah, they got swept. They couldn't even fucking win one game like they did with against St. Louis in 2006.
Keeping it the same sport, what about the Bills? Ouch.
Yeah.
Oof. Boy, I love those Super Bowls.
It's 30 years later. They're still trying to forget that shit.
God damn, man. That was an interesting time in the NFL, man.
They had Jesus the team, Christ. Though.
And they just couldn't. Dude, have you ever heard of the yips? You know what the yips are in sports?
Yep.
When a player who usually I think it's more in baseball than the other sport, player who can do something as simple as throw the ball back to the pitcher, all of a sudden can't get the ball back to the pitcher without throwing wildly. It's like that whole team got the yips the minute they fucking went in the Super Bowl. But not even really, because this Super Bowl against the Giants came down to a fucking field goal. It's not like they got blown out every fucking game they played. So I don't know. I know.
But at some point, as a Bills fan, you just got to be like, fucking really?
Dude, when I lived in New York, the part of New York I lived in, there was no Giants fans. They were all Bills fans. and they were fanatical Bills fans. And of that time period, you were safe to bring up Jim Kelly in a no-huddle offense. Anything else, and you were risking a fucking fist fight. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, threat of physical violence, you know? And I'm sitting here like, motherfucker, I'm from Detroit. Like, they ain't won a goddamn thing. They ain't even been to a Super Bowl to choke one away. On top of that, I'm a Tampa Bay fan. We're the only team to go winless in the fucking NFL. What the fuck are you mad at me about? At least you got there. Shit.
Yeah, got invited to the party at least. No one will tell us in Detroit where the party is.
I'll tell you what, though. If I was Jim Kelly, talk about a test of a guy's faith. 4 Super Bowls, 4 losses, gets out of the league, relatively healthy. Oh, yeah, here's cancer. You know, at that point, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be wondering if the guy upstairs, like, what did I do? Did I piss you off and not know it? Like, what? Seriously, it's not enough. 4 Super Bowls, no ring. I got to get cancer now on top of it. I mean, that's.
Are you a Giants fan? I mean, what happened?
Seriously, dude, that's just born under a bad sign type bad luck. That's just all there is to it. But all right, well, anything else? Or are we gonna try to wrap this one up and make it a short one this week?
I do want to mention that fact that Chris Webber needs to own up to what he did with the Fab Five.
Okay, yeah. All right, go ahead and explain what you're talking about, because we talked about this before we were recording.
Well, the Fab Five had the findings is that players took some money and other unethical and rule-breaking offenses. Here nor there. The thing is Coach Fischer, their coach, is not being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And a lot of people are saying that it's because of the Fab Five and the handlings of what happened. And one of the Fab Five, if you guys, for people who don't know the Fab Five, is Jalen Rhodes, Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, Ray Jackson. Who's that other motherfucker?
Oh, everyone always forgets it. Jimmy King.
Jimmy King. I didn't always forget him. I knew him.
No, trust me, I did that about a month ago during March Madness. I'm like, who the fuck is the 5th person is Jimmy King? It's
Jimmy
King, the one
yes.
everyone always forgets.
Yeah, and everybody's pretty much owned up to what happened when they were in college, except for Chris Webber. Chris Webber hasn't owned up to it, hasn't apologized for it. And Jalen Rose called out Chris Webber again and said, you need to own up to it and at least apologize to Coach Fischer for keeping him out of the Hall of Fame. And Chris Webber still emphatically denies any wrongdoing whatsoever.
Wow.
So here's the question. Should he apologize to Coach Fischer?
Should he or would he?
Should he? Should. Not would.
I think
should.
Okay. This is how I'm gonna take a long road to get to the answer. But bear with me. When the Fab Five documentary came out in 2011, he's the only one of those guys that refused to participate. When it came out that he was getting money from Ed Martin, who was the booster that was paying for him, all right, he was claiming poverty at the exact same time, to the point where Mitch Albom came out and defended him, saying he was. Now, whether you believe Mitch Albom's story or not, that's up to you. I kind of think it's one of those things where the writer tells a story that's a little too convenient, but that's just me. He claims that him and Chris Webber were walking down the street in Ann Arbor past a sporting goods store, and Chris Webber saw his jersey, his Michigan jersey, hanging for sale for $150 in the store, turned around, looked at Mitch Albom and said, ain't that something? I'm broke. I can't even afford a pizza. And I asked you to float me money for it, and you said you couldn't give it to me because it'd violate NCAA rules. Yet they're making $150 a pop off my jersey. Now, the reason I bring that up is because Ed Martin basically admitted to giving him fucking money. The rest of the guys knew about the situation. And here's Webber saying not only did he not take money, but that he was taken advantage of, and he made an allusion to that other young men were taken advantage of by Ed Martin, which has left a really bad taste in Jalen Rose's mouth, because I heard Jalen Rose talking about it on his ESPN show, and he basically called Webber a bitch for not only refusing to own up to what he did, but for basically trying to put doubt in people's minds and make it sound like Ed Martin was some sort of child molester or something that took advantage of these young men. So on top of all that, Weber, if you watch the documentary and you know about where he came from, Chris Webber did not come from the streets. Chris Webber came from private schools, money, okay? And when I say money, relative to the money of the rest of the guys on the Fab Five. That's what I'm saying when I say money. Okay, it's all relative, all right? But he always wanted to be one of those street guys. And he never really was. And he's basically a wannabe. And so I got to wonder how much of this is him thinking that if I keep my mouth shut and I never admit to anything, that I'm keeping it street, I'm keeping it hood. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, at this point, dude, we've got the tape. We really don't need your confession. It would just maybe make people who still hold a grudge against you forgive you. But there's nothing more we can do to you. I mean, they've punished the team. They've punished the fucking the program. You know, Ed Martin, if he hadn't have died, probably would have ended up in jail over it. You know, Weber pled guilty to shit. I don't know if it was perjury or contempt, because he I think they charged him with perjury and he pled down to contempt of court because he lied on the stand, or to the grand jury. I can't remember the exact details of it. So yeah, I think flat out, it's been 20 plus years. All right, come out, admit your wrongdoing, bury the hatchet the best you can with the rest of the guys on the Fab Five, and try to celebrate what you guys did bring to the table as far as really causing a shift in the way college basketball is looked at by a lot of people. Now, some people argue it's for the better, some people argue for the worse, but
I guess I have one question. Maybe a little ignorant to history here, but it is what it is. Did Steve Fisher know what was going on?
Well, see, there's the debate, and that's the same thing. Did Pete Carroll know what was going on? Did Joe Pa know? It's a
yes or no question. Did Steve Fisher know what was going on?
I don't know.
To be honest with you, dude, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. So it's never been.
I don't know.
So no one's ever come out.
Definitive answer. Yeah. I think.
I mean, if I had to guess, I'm going to guess he didn't, because what happened was that Weber and Jalen and all of them, they weren't taken advantage of by this man. They were cared for by this man.
Basically, what he said is he loaned them money on the condition that if they made it in the NBA,
they would pay him back. They would take care of him.
They would pay him back somewhere down the line. And Weber welched on that. So
not only welched, but accused him of basically, like you said, basically being a child molester, and just smeared his name. And any kind of credit the guy did have is gone. His family still has to deal with it.
But to answer your question, I don't think there was, Chris, I've never heard a definitive answer whether he knew or not. Pure reckless speculation on my part. I think Steve Fisher, like a lot of coaches, probably know that there's something breaking NCAA regulations and rules going on in their program. But Fisher strikes me as the type of guy that goes, I don't want to hear about it. I can imagine him doing that more so than tell me all the details and then going, I knew nothing about it. I think he's the type of guy that would want plausible deniability. I don't know the details. No one ever came to me and said they were taking money. I never saw money change hands. That's all I can say. But I mean, let's be honest. What is it? We have a sports broadcaster here in Detroit, Mike Valeni, and he's infamous for saying this. Any program that wins in the NCAA, whether it be out of basketball and football, by the way, is what he was talking about. Out of those two sports, any program that wins, there's violations of NCAA rules going on behind the scenes. We may or may not ever find out about it, but guarantee somewhere someone has broken a rule to get that team to the spot they're at. And as much as I think Mike Valeni can be a blowhard asshole, I think he's absolutely correct about that. If you go down to the SEC and they ripped open the SEC and they forced the SEC to lay all their cards on the table, the amount of corruption on those teams down there, I would imagine quite a few teams would be looking at death penalty in the face, just like SMU was.
Yeah. Alabama's actually has a payroll. It's called something else.
Dude, the joke during the USC days in the mid 2000s was LA doesn't have a professional football team, and everyone go, yeah, we do. We have USC.
Oh, when Pete Carroll was in charge?
Yeah. And I know this is I could kind of picture Pete Carroll pulling it, like I said, being like I think Steve Fisher's like, which is, I know something's going on, but I don't want to know the details. Just keep me out of it. Let me be able to have a job after this. I could see Pete Carroll being like that.
Yeah, but more so with Fisher, though, I really don't think he did. Because when they decided to wear those long gold shorts, the long shorts, Fisher didn't know about it. When they wanted to protest the Nike emblem, Fisher didn't know about it. All black socks and black shoes, Fisher didn't know about it. That's what made the Fab Five, is they were a very tight-knit group. Hung out with each other, talked to each other. And I think when they went
King
and got
was
this...
he was from Texas, wasn't he? And he said that his first season, when he wasn't playing, he was like, what's this bullshit that's falling from the sky? And they're like, it's snow. And he was like, fuck this, I want to go back to Texas. And it was basically Jalen Rose and Weber that talked him into staying. I mean, yeah, you're right. Those guys were tight. They were tight.
Right. And when they went and got their money or whatever the hell they got, I think they did it as a group. And all of them agreed that if they made it big, they would take care of him. And once again, there's Weber.
And see, here's the real bitch of it, is that if you know a lot about Ed Martin was the type of guy that would go to like these youth basketball games, see kids who come from absolute fucking, abject poverty. I've heard stories about some of the kids and we're talking kids that are in like, junior high, freshmen in high school, who maybe are marginal on the bubble, whether they'll even ever go to a fucking good college basketball program, let alone make it to the NBA. And he'd help their families, because if not, it's like, in 2 days they're gonna take all our shit and throw it on our front porch, and it's Detroit. We're not gonna come home to nothing. Everything's gonna be gone.
And not just that, he'd also help them buy shoes to compete with. He would take care of the kids. Now that's not to say he's Robin Hood or a saint, because he wasn't. He would look for something in return if they made it.
But if they didn't, all the kids he had to have gave money over the years, how many of them actually went to the NBA?
That's what I was saying. But if they didn't make it, he wasn't a fucking mob boss coming in to collect.
No, not at all.
It's interesting you use the word mob, because didn't he die like the day before he was supposed to testify or some shit like that? I remember.
I know he had a heart attack before the hearing.
Yeah, I remember just thinking the timing of his death was real fucking suspicious.
Yeah, he had. What is it? He'd been convicted of tax evasion, something along those lines, and he was supposed to testify to his connections between himself and Weber, and died of a heart attack before the hearing. So, yeah, fuck it. We've been wearing a tinfoil hat for most of this episode. You saying Weber actually found some street motherfuckers and got some shit done? Had him put in work?
Maybe.
No, I don't know. I don't
Maybe his
know.
dinner was poisoned. I don't fucking know. But really? Like it literally was like the eve of when he was supposed to testify, wasn't it?
I want to say it was awfully fucking close. If it wasn't the night before, it was awfully close. So that is ringing a bell with me. You got to remember, this is a story that I haven't outside of and I as a Michigan fan, I'll still admit this, outside of the kid glove handling that the documentary, the 30 for 30 documentary did, which did its best to paint them in a good light. Did its best to paint every one of them but Weber in a good light. I don't know. We're talking 25 years, ago this shit happened, and I'm trying to remember the exact details of it, and it's just not coming to me right off the top of my head. But yeah, I do think it's, first of all, I don't see why if Fischer is a possible college basketball Hall of Fame candidate, I don't see why Weber apologizing would affect that one way or the other. He won a national championship without the Fab Five, and he never won one with them. And I dare either of you two to tell me one player on his national championship team.
I ain't taking that bet.
Exactly.
Wasn't it San Diego State?
No, it was with Michigan. It was the year before he recruited the Fab Five.
Oh, that's right. That was with Ramil and Glenn Rice. Yeah. That's right. I always forget. That was his first year.
Yeah, That's what I'm saying. So why, I don't understand why Weber has any bearing on whether he goes to the Hall of Fame or not.
It's not so much that they're putting him in the Hall of Fame, not going to put him in the Hall of Fame based on Weber. It's the fact that Fab Five incident is what's going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame, and Weber's still treating it like he didn't do anything wrong. That's what Jalen Rose is calling him out on.
Yeah, but he's also butthurt that the NCAA basically said, hey, you got to treat Weber like persona non grata until 2013. But yet when Michigan was in the – here's the most telling thing. When Michigan was in the national championship game 2 seasons ago, all right, all the Fab Four or 4 of the Fab Five were together watching the game. Weber was up in a fucking suite by himself. I mean, that's going to tell you something right there. So I think he just sees himself as the victim in all this, so he probably feels that he has no reason to apologize. You know, I mean, kind of, he's a hipster millennial. I'm a victim, even though I'm the one that committed the crime. I'm a victim. You know, dude, Earl, you and I go back over 20 years. We had groups we ran with that we were tight as fuck. We're not tight anymore. And if we really were to sit down and try to hash it out and figure out what the fuck happened, in some of them cases, all we could do is look at each other, shake our heads, and shrug and go, I don't know. You know, some are crystal clear. Others, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what this person's problem was. They just fucking disappeared off the face of the earth for no reason. Never even told me if they had a beef with me. If they did, I had no idea. So, I mean, who knows what's going through his head, man? I mean, like I said, I know Jalen Rose isn't happy with him. Jalen Rose has made himself a nice little career in the media market. And doesn't Weber do some like on-air shit for TNT?
Yeah, he does some commentary for basketball.
Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, if it's going to be a war of words in the media, if it is allowed to escalate into that, I think Weber's going to find himself on the losing end of that one also, because Jalen Rose trash talked the shit out of Weber right under the table. So I don't know. Ultimately, it's a shitty situation. That, I mean, this is a subject we could get off on for another hour on our own, but we've done it before. All this could be avoided with some sort of compensation to players from the money. I'm not talking paying millions of dollars, just some sort of fucking compensation to players based on how many fucking, tickets they're collecting at the turnstile.
Or jersey sales.
Even there you go. Even more so. Well, I did notice this. I did notice in some, and this was about 10 years ago. In some places, if you go in to buy a Michigan jersey, they don't sell the jersey with the players' names on the back anymore. You have to have them put on yourself. You have to pay.
Right, but they still have the number.
Exactly, yeah. Now, the way they get around that is by saying, especially football, well, how many players have had that number? You can put your own name on that jersey. We can't stop. Once you buy that jersey, you can do whatever you want with it. We can't stop what you do with that. Well, let's be honest. If I go buy a Michigan #1 jersey, gee, whose name am I going to put on that? Come on now. But, speaking of jerseys, what do you think about the Detroit Lions new ones?
I haven't seen them.
Awesome.
How little I care.
They're so badass. They are so badass.
Are they gonna win the Super Bowl for us?
No.
I don't give a fuck. But I guess I should look at them.
And for the record,
just because
they're not badass.
Well, go ahead and look them up, Chris, because I want to get your impressions of them. Yeah, I'm kind of glad we're getting it live on the air.
What?
You sound like you just looked up lemonparty.org.
Ugh. What? So gray is what? What's happening? Hold on.
They took out black. There is no black. It's 2-color scheme. It's blue and gray.
So now the what? So the road jerseys are gray now.
That's their color rush jerseys. It's ironic that they have a gray color rush jersey. Just think about that. That's like jumbo shrimp, free rent. It doesn't make any sense.
Military intelligence.
Yeah, you seriously, your color rush jersey is going to be gray, okay?
Well, it was black, but they took black out of the color scheme.
Oh, what? Are names on the sleeve now? Ooh, is that the big thing?
Yeah, the Lions.
There's that too. Yeah.
I'm
going to go ahead.
And they changed the font as well.
Yeah.
None of this was the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say this. Lions fans, you have my sympathy on this one. But I don't want to hear too much crying because at least they don't look like some third-rate, wet-brained retard with a broken wrist designed them for a college football team, and somehow they accidentally ended up in a pro football team, a.k.a. Tampa's new jerseys that they introduced a few years ago. I think Tampa still has the ugliest new jerseys out of everybody. So not much when it comes to those Lions jerseys, though. When I saw those, I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" And guys, I know Chris is like, "Oh, they're not going to win a Super Bowl for us." I couldn't give a fuck less. But this reeks of desperation when I see franchises do this, especially considering in 2009 they just switched up their jerseys. That's 7 seasons ago.
Yeah.
You're a charter member. You're a charter member of the NFL, okay? You've been around since before the Super Bowl was even a thought. And you're swapping and fucking with a classic jersey design. Why? Oh, that's right. Because you can't fucking win. So what better way to get people to buy your merchandise is those fans that got to have the newest and latest. Put them out. There's another $150, $200 we're going to get from these suckers.
What did I tell Earl in the group? Hey, can't win a playoff game, but at least I got a cool fucking shirt.
At least I look good losing.
Yeah, no, right?
No, I was on the fence about buying one of the new Tampa Bay jerseys this year. And then I said, you know what? I looked at them and I'm like, God damn, these are hideous fucking jerseys. Like, I don't even want to wear that shit. And it's just disgusting. I'd rather they go back to the creamsicle and be the yucks again. Seriously. I mean, it's just horrible. So, I don't know. Win a Super Bowl, Tampa. Then we'll sit down and we'll hammer out whether I'll buy one of your jerseys. The difference between Earl and me is I know Earl's going to have one of the new ones the minute he can get one out there in fucking Kansas.
It's probably being shipped to his house right now.
It's on back order. Shut up.
Well, you know what? Hey, speaking of, that's something that it's sports related, but it's not to a specific sport. It's something that I've heard brought up over the years, and every once in a while, like I watch the show Scrubs, and every once in a while you'll see Dr. Cox wearing a Red Wing jersey or something, and somebody in the show has to make the obligatory crack about, oh, look, a grown man wearing another grown man's name on his back. You know, I don't think we ever talked about this. Like, how do you guys feel about fucking people that buy and, wear jerseys?
If you wear a band t-shirt, you could shut the fuck up about me and my sports jersey, because it's the same fucking thing. At least that's how I view it.
Well, I mean, I know how Earl feels about jerseys.
Yeah. No, man.
Half of my closet is full of jerseys.
And it's been that way pretty much since I knew you.
Right.
And when people go, yeah, but he only had 5 jerseys, I'll be like, yeah, but he only had 5 other shirts also. So literally, he had 10 shirts. Half his clothes were jerseys.
If you're wearing a Metallica t-shirt, you might as well be wearing a Metallica jersey. That's the same way I view sports. You're wearing a shirt of something that you like. The end.
I actually got grief from a former band member about me wearing a jersey one day. And this band member tends to wear comic book shirts all the time. And wow. I had to point out, I said, yeah. I had to point out, I'm like, you do realize that you're basically wearing your outfit for every show is walking birth control. And you're going to sit here and fuck with me about wearing a jersey? Seriously? Like, come on, dude. I mean, if your age starts with, I'll be nice, a 3, and you're walking around wearing Pokemon shit, you need to shut the fuck up about anybody's sense of fashion.
You better have kids.
I mean, I'm saying about anything. I could walk around with a ribbon tied around my dick, butt booty naked, ball swinging free, and you better just give me a nod and a thumbs up if you're wearing a Pokemon shirt and you're in your 30s or older. That's all I'm saying.
You're an adult wearing a Pokemon shirt. Talk about someone wearing a jersey. Wow, that is not self-aware.
But yeah, I just think it's funny because there's a school of thought from a group of people I know that You know, if you wear a jersey, even to a sporting event, that makes you like some sort of huge dork. And then I heard him extend it into if you take a baseball glove to a baseball game, it makes you a huge dork. And I'm like, well, to me, it depends on where the fuck you're sitting. Is there a legit chance you could catch a line drive in the face? Then why the fuck wouldn't you have a baseball glove to keep it from fucking breaking your jaw?
Oh, thank you. Oh, man, I got mocked mercilessly so hard by some of my friends like 10 years ago because we're sitting on the third baseline and I brought a glove. It's like, why'd you bring a glove? Like, what do you hate? They're like, hey, you're over 12. I'm like, we're sitting on fucking third baseline.
That's what I'm saying. You know how many, I think it's, what was it? Over 1,000 people each year during the baseball season are hit by balls. These are over 1,000 people have to go to the hospital because of the injuries from foul balls hitting them. So why don't you be a little proactive and bring a glove and pay attention to what the fucking is happening in the game versus being a dipshit who lets the world happen to you to the point where we go to watch a baseball game 10 years from now and the whole fucking field's covered in a netting that we all got to fucking try to look through because some dipshit didn't want to look like a fucking 12-year-old carrying a jersey or carrying a fucking glove.
I seen somebody get hit with a bat.
Oh, yeah.
There was like 2 rows in front of me.
You know what,
But it's funny.
What?
I just had a flashback when you were telling that story, Rich, of how pissed off you got about ice hockey having the net at the around the back of the goaltender. Dude, Chris, you didn't know him at this point. Rich comes to me and goes, "Did you hear they're putting up a net?" I was like, "Where?" He's like, "On the ice rink, behind the goaltenders. It's a big-ass net." I'm like, "No." He goes, "Yeah, there's a fucking couple. Guy and a girl sitting behind the net. And the puck got shot, and it went over, and, well, it hit her." And I was like, "Oh, she got hurt and stuff." She goes, "Well, no, well, she fucking died." And now there's a fucking net there. He was all bent. I was like, dude, she's dead.
Well, you know what? I bet you
when somebody dies, it's time to take measures.
I'm just saying, if she has a sister, if she ever goes to a hockey game, she'll pay attention to the game instead of her fucking hair. I guarantee you. When I had season tickets, I used to take my ex-wife to the games, and when we would get down on the first or third baseline, I'd be like, "Now look, you got to pay attention, because one of these foul balls can come back and fucking clean your clock." And she just shined me on until one got hit, like literally, I'm going to say 5 seats away from us. And it bounced off the guy who went to catch it, and then it hit the ground, and there was a scramble for it, and someone ended up getting it. But the guy who went to catch it, like his hand was fucking swollen because he threw it up and tried to barehand it at the last minute. And I was like, do you see what I'm saying now? Pay the fuck attention. If you don't want to pay attention, don't go to a fucking sporting event. What do you want me to fucking say? And by the way, to make it worse, Earl, it was I think she was like 12, the girl that got hit with the puck. I just remember I was like, why would you waste a ticket on a 12-year-old who's not paying attention to the game? Jesus.
I just remember him looking at me going, "Well, no, she fucking died. And now there's a fucking net up." And I was like, dude. I thought she got some teeth knocked out. She might have got a concussion. No, she fucking died.
No, she got her life knocked out of her body.
It hit her so hard it literally knocked the soul out of her body.
Her life force went down to 0.
I'm gonna go the Louis C.K. way of thinking about this. And Chris brought it up on Unregimented last week. I'm not, if peanuts will kill you, that's horrible. We understand. We need to do everything we can to protect you. On the other hand, if a peanut can kill you, maybe you don't really need to live. I mean, maybe you need to die. Maybe that's nature's way of saying we got to remove you from the gene pool. I don't know. I mean,
hey man, natural selection.
Darwin. Well, dude, seriously, if one person in the United States drank a whole fucking thing of like something like hair shampoo, okay, and for whatever reason died from it. Now, if they started putting all these regulations and and safety and children's locks and removing ingredients from shampoo to where it didn't work as well as it did before. When you go, this is one dumbass person. I mean, seriously, how many people have cut their fingers off using fucking Ginsu knives? We don't ban them fucking things. How many car accidents are there per year? You know what? How many people get in car accidents these days because they're too busy texting or looking at their fucking smartphone? Well, we ain't banning that shit.
And now I get to say, if Chicago people are listening to us right now, oh, they are pissed.
They gave it up that quick?
It is 2-2, 5 minutes left in the third.
Well, see, we don't know if they're going to be pissed yet because it's a tie game right now with your partial score from 3 days ago.
It doesn't matter if Chicago wins or not, bro. Seriously? If they're listening to this part of the show right now, they're pissed.
Or they remember being pissed.
Yep.
And then they got happy real quick. Oh, shit. Well, anyways, since it looks like a game is going into overtime, maybe we should wrap this up so I can actually catch that game. So by the time next week rolls around and we talk about this shit, we're talking about shit that happened 8 days prior.
Yeah, I know, right?
Ooh, official review. Could be goaltender
We're doing our opening
interference.
day update next week, right?
Jesus Christ. I know he has no idea who Tom Mazaway is, but I'm going to start calling him that. Between the partial score updates and being a time vampire, I mean,
They do have similarities.
I swear to God, Earl, if you ever come to us talking about you want to do show and tell on a radio show, that's it. It's over with. We're finding a new co-host.
Oh,
people
we do have video on this, right? I'm just checking.
Yeah, we're gonna have to Facebook Live so you can show and tell us your jersey collection.
Yeah.
With that being said, thank you everybody who's listened to this downloaded. Some NHL fan, or no, wait, it was a New Orleans fan site the other day that has like 20,000 followers, liked us and retweeted us, so we're getting out there. All right, people are liking us. They're liking our half-assed opinions, but I think we make it entertaining too. So thank you to everybody. You can follow us at Sporgy Podcast on Twitter. Email the show sporgy@christophermedia.net. We're on Instagram at sporgy_podcast. We do have a Facebook page. Earl, I'm calling you out in front of everyone. All right, our Facebook page, we haven't been promoting it as much. It has 2 people who like it. All right, there's 3 people on this podcast. I'm just saying.
I can't find it. I've looked for it. I can't find it.
You're an admin. I have made you an admin. Anyway, okay. Well, I'll figure it out and I'll get you the link. But yeah, thanks to everybody who has listened, and we will catch you next week.
All right, later, guys.
If I make it back next week, bye, guys.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Nope, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Masspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Masspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.